put forth by the BCCS. That is objectives that, even though give us a good guideline, it's not breaking it down into pieces. And that's what I've done with the study guide.
Okay.
The study guide is where I've broken it down into the pieces that I really want you guys to know.
Okay.
Do you have a question? Oh, okay. All right. So let's get started at the point that we left off on Thursday of last week. We are continuing from part 1 with the nervous system, and we have worked our way through talking about the spinal cord, and the spinal cord, how we break it up into segments, the different parts of it, where we've got the cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coccygeal. We looked at the fact that we are going to see spinal nerves that exit this vertebral column, and they're exiting off of that segment of the spinal cord. So if we begin to think about the spinal nerves, let's just kind of go back for a second. And if we look at what we've talked about so far, our spinal cord, the exiting of the spinal nerves. The point that we're at right here, if you remember, I kept trying to point out how these nerves that are going to exit between those vertebrae, they're going to come around, and because we have them exiting for the length of that spinal cord, they're going to be coming around, and they're going to have an area of the body that they serve. We're going to find what we're going to learn. They have an area of the body they serve for skeletal muscle, which is what we're focusing on for this chapter. But we're going to also learn that we have this other system called the autonomic nervous system, the one for the viscera. And we have to service that also. So, do you guys remember us talking about how we had the fork in the road, and we had the entrance on the anterior and the posterior, where we have sensory information come out, sensory information come in, motor go out. We've got all our little rootlets. We've got the dorsal root ganglion, all that sort of stuff. And because information, our sensory information needs to go in, and motor information needs to come out. That is the reason that a nerve, a spinal nerve, is mixed, because it carries both types of information. So we have our sensory information enter and motor exit for these nerves. One of the things that we talked about in their structure, it does remind us about muscle, because muscle had the fibers, we had the connective tissue wrappings, we've got an outermost, a middle, and innermost, okay? Now this time, when we're talking about the nerve itself, this time, what makes up the fiber? What part of that nerve cell is considered now the fiber? Axon. Yeah, okay, so I got both things. Axon. So if we go back to that generalized structure, okay, this right here, the axon, is our fiber. And now, as we begin to have these spinal nerves, the part that is exiting between the vertebrae, that spinal nerve, it's no longer encased in bone. So it is protected by the myelin sheath. That little Schwann cell, during development, as it produces its product, along that fiber of that nerve cell, that Schwann cell will simply wrap around it and make this structure that exists down the axon, where you've got myelin, 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 okay? And it serves as protection, and it helps speed up that transmission of the action potential. Is everybody with me? Mm-hmm. Okay, so something else that we pointed out, nerves are very well vascularized. They have a very good blood supply. Can you think of a reason why nerves have a very good blood supply? Okay, let's think about this for a second. There are two systems that are going to run the body. The nervous system, and what did we say the second system was?
Autonomic.
That's actually part of our nervous system, and that one serves our viscera of the body. But there's actually another system. The nerves are going to serve the muscles, our endocrine, the hormones of the body. So now, if we think about having these two systems that run the body, and let me think here for a second. For that nervous system, is the nervous system ever stagnant? No. It's working 24/7, 365, 366 if it's a leap year. Okay? So, there's no downtime. If there is, something's wrong. Okay? It needs that blood supply because, first of all, we've got to get nutrients to it, and we've got to get rid of waste. Okay? So it has a very good blood supply. In the part that we've kind of looked at, we know that we have to bring in sensory information. At this point in time, we are not focused on any of the special senses. At this time, for the sensory information that we are looking at, we're pretty much looking at the sensory information of like touch, okay, hot, cold, pain, pressure, that sort of thing. Because when we get into the chapter of special senses, we're pretty much going to be here. That's where we're going to, have y'all ever heard of those cranial nerves? Oh yeah, we're going to get to that. So, at this point in time, we're thinking on this big structure, okay? We're looking at these skeletal muscles. When we begin to note that these nerves are mixed, carrying in sensory information, giving us a response for the motor, giving us mixed nerves, all right, we are going to say that information is either somatic, visceral, or general. All right? So, when we begin to look at this information that we're going to see, okay, we're kind of looking at it in reference to being part of like just touch, pain, pressure. We're going to get to the other parts in other chapters where we're going to see it be visceral, where we're going to see it be special. Okay, we're going to get to those. When we were talking about their structure, one of the things that we pointed out, does that help y'all see that bottom row in the back? Can you? Okay. One of the things that we pointed out about the structure, on the posterior side, when that nerve comes into the spinal cord, and we had those rootlets come in on the anterior, we had the rootlets come in on the posterior, there was this knot that exists, the ganglion. A ganglion, anytime you hear that term, remember, let that get you thinking about being nerve cell bodies. Okay? Because that's what a neurosoma is. Nerve cell bodies. So that ganglion, that is, now, because we're going to hear ganglion again. Okay? I wish somebody would have been more inventive in lab on that day. Okay? But they weren't. All right? A ganglion, a cluster of nerve cell bodies, okay, outside the central nervous system. Hold up. What is the central nervous system?
Spinal cord.
Spinal cord
Brain.
and brain. When you hear the term CNS, Central Nervous System, it is only referring to the brain and the spinal cord. What else exists?
Peripheral nervous system.
My PNS, the peripheral nervous system. Periphery referring to anything other than the brain and the spinal cord. So all this other stuff, okay, is my peripheral nervous system because it goes to the periphery of my body. All right, so that ganglion on that posterior side, okay, that posterior root ganglion, nerve cell bodies. Now, those nerve cell bodies, nerve fibers, okay, that the axon, all right, they're going to go either into that ganglion or out of that ganglion. Knew I should have put my board up. But those who got here a little bit early realized I think I forgot everything this morning. Okay, you know, sometimes it doesn't do for me to have a day off. Breaks my routine. Okay, forgot my water bottle, forgot my glasses, didn't put my little board up. So wish I would have. But let me try to get your your idea or give you an idea